Well, gang, I gotta be honest here. It's been a wild ride with this whole Greenland thing. I just released a video yesterday just opening the whole idea of what the hell's going on. Are we trying to take over Greenland? Now there's a deal in place that everyone feels good about, but why did Trump make such a big hoopla about it? What has it done to the typical mind of people on the street, in the market? It's confusing. Hey everybody, Jordan here, and I'm still at the folks' house for the holidays, thinking about moving to Colombia, but not sure if old Trumpster is gonna try to take over Colombia, so I'm kind of still stuck here at home. Not sure what to do. With the days of the household, with the family, where I grew up, those days are starting to clump together. Something must be done. But will Colombia kill Jordan? Things just developed today. Trump did announce that they've come to some kind of deal with Denmark, and Denmark is agreeing to it. At least it's just the announcement of said thing. I'm going to find out what's going on. Yesterday, when I released the video, I think the world kind of caught up to the whole Greenland thing, and the market just absolutely tanked. If we look at the S&P 500, which is just a general index of how America's doing business-wise, this is a daily chart. And each one of these little sticks, bars here, represents one day. So if it's green, it went up. So on this day, which would be on Monday, I think last week, 690 in the beginning of the day. And then by the end of the day, it closed at 695. So that was a good day. We've been growing a bit since the beginning of January. Here's the first day in the beginning of January. Market's going up, and we're kind of chopping around a little bit here, which is kind of normal, no big deal. And then I think when Greenland really caught up with everybody, this is the first day of the week after Martin Luther King Day on Tuesday. We went from this price, 692, way down to 681. This is what's called a gap down. So it just leaped overnight into this very low price. And then today it opened here and it closed way back up toward where we were. And this is because we got news that Trump, A, not going to invade with force. That actually caused an initial bounce in the market. And two, well, they've come to some kind of agreement, or at least the beginnings of them, but I don't really know what's going on with that. You can see how drastically things change when these little political points develop and then come to some kind of solution or conclusion. So I'm going to jump into this whole hog. I don't know exactly what's going on. I just kind of read the headlines, but let's really find out what's happening and see how this whole deal went from an obscure confusion to the world giving a sigh of relief for now. Let's check it out. We got a little thing from David Pacman saying he has humiliated himself, President Trump, probably where the market first started bouncing. People were getting in a good mood because he won't use force.
They're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland.
Yeah. Iceland, yeah. Yeah.
No.
It's Greenland, that's right. Greenland, sorry. I'm not going to lie, like for the first Iceland, I was repeating. I was thinking about Greenland. Anyway. He's blaming Denmark, he's blaming Greenland for the drop. And no, I mean, so it's peanuts compared to what it's gone up. Okay. Dip is peanuts. Well, it wasn't fun for a lot of people yesterday. I traded a bit, and it wasn't fun for a lot of people, I'll tell you that much. In my heart, in my mind, the entire reason for the dip yesterday, the big dip, as I showed you before, is because people are scared about what America's going to do, what's going to happen. That's how I felt, and the people I'm talking with, who are many, many people, believe me, I talk to everybody in the market, believe me, that was the same feeling we all had. Like, what's going on? Why are we going on a tear in America? I'm just saying that's what we were feeling in the market, if we're talking about market dips. So this was yesterday. I'm not entirely sure when Greenland, and from Fox News, the cold shoulder, thousands rallying Greenland's capital city chanting Greenland's not for sale after President Trump doubles down. The protests are reportedly the biggest demonstration in the nation's history. That's a lot of peeps. They're all ready to fight? Are they all ready to get up and defend against American forces? I'm saying hardly fair, hardly fair. but it's a clear show that people are not into it. Well, not a bad, straightforward reporting from Fox News. I have to hand it to them. Good job. Oh, well, that's cute. Isn't that a little grotesque? But yeah, even the magnetosphere is kind of Trump derangement syndrome. This is interesting. I wonder what this is all about. What is this? Bringing American culture to Greenland. I don't get it so far. Do you get it? I don't get it. I mean, I'm sure there's something there. Let's take a look here. Okay, thank you. They're just trying to Greenland making fun of Americans. I don't get it. What is it, though? Greenland, by the way. They're pretending to be high on something? Oh, is it fentanyl? Oh, the snap. Oh. They think we're all on fentanyl. Oh, that's okay. I mean, that's what I'm taking from it. Okay. Now, I'm really not trying to get on the whole like Trump thing here, Trump, but this is in the market. This is kind of how it is. It's true. Trump makes a decision. You can call it stupid if you want. The market tanks. Something really bad happens. Convince followers magic's now magically solved, which is what we're seeing today. We still haven't seen, I haven't seen exactly what they agreed to yet, but we will. And he reverses the decision and the market goes back up. And in the market sphere, we call this a taco Trump. I can give you an example of this. Back to the SPY here. This is S&P 500 once again. Back in October here, you had kind of normal action of the market. Kind of just look how beautifully it was just kind of going up really nicely. Then he came in with talks of tariffs. And this was on October 10th. So 10/10, we call this the Trump candle. And so he announces tariffs, that he's threatening China with tariffs. The market absolutely tanks. It hits this bottom. Then he says, okay, never mind. And then, and then the market pops back up. You can see back in April that the same thing happened back in March. He starts talking about tariffs, boom, and then it all got put back to normal. And there's other things happening as well with Musk and everything like this. That caused the market to downturn. But you can see how the market was really just beautifully climbing. Just, I mean, you can call it abnormal, whatever you want, but that was the behavior before. Here comes the Trump candle, and you can see now this insane choppiness, much different than the smooth uptaking, from April. Just beautiful action here. Trump candle hits, and now it's just been chopping all over the place. Same trajectory, but when you're trading in the market and the market's going up and down, chopping up and down like this, it makes for a bad day, many bad days. So that's what's been happening with his announcements. So that's what this whole cycle thing here is about, is it just keeps happening. So the same thing happened today. The exact same thing happened today. We have this huge down day yesterday. He reverses everything and everything pops back up. And that has been the status quo with this administration since the second term. I'm not sure about the first term, but anyway, that's what's been going on my side. Luckily, on Tuesday, I slept in because I was a little sick. So I missed the whole down day thing, and I happened to be in some decent positions, so I didn't get affected too much. But today was scary. This is a funny meme. Get it? Okay. Case and point. Good sirs. Taco Trump. And look at this. He gets a whole platter for this one. This is from the White House based on a very productive meeting I have had with Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte. We formed a framework future deal with respect to Greenland and, in fact, the entire Arctic region. And that's nice. Nice touch there. This solution, if consummated, will be a great one for United States of America and all NATO nations. Based upon this understanding, I will not be imposing the tariffs that were scheduled to go into effect on February 1st. Okay. Additional discussions are being held concerning the Golden Dome. This would be the Monroe Act, as it pertains to Greenland. Further information will be made available as discussions progress. Vice President, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Special Envoy State Witkoff, and various others as needed will be responsible for negotiation. They will report directly to me. Thank you for your attention on this matter. Okay, so That is from his Truth Social, as you can see here. Secretary of State of NATO. Okay. So supposedly, NATO's on board with this. But, here's the thing. Who knows what's going to happen when they start negotiating? Is he going to start, shaking his fist again and poking his stick, indirectly threatening this and that, and we're going to go through all this again? I'm telling you, it is a wild roller coaster with this. And as much as it's like, okay, good for Trump, he gets them all scared, and then he goes around and says, hey, everything's okay, but he gets them to the table. Okay, I get that. It's a tactic. It's a tactic. It's a strategy. It's a tactic. It's something you can do to get things done. But in the meantime, when people are literally just day to day trading on the stock market and living their lives, it's a pain in the ass. I mean, a lot of people are losing a lot of money, right? A lot of people are making a lot of money, but it's something's just off about this way of progressing with things. This is not taking into consideration everyone that's just doing their day-to-day thing, right? At least, keep this stuff behind closed doors more, right? Do we have to make everything so public so that we have to endure all of this volatility, especially in the market and in our hearts and minds? Huge part of the market is like how nervous the guy on the street is. Will we see more of this coming up? I don't know, man. Pain in the ass. It really is a pain in the ass. It's not fun, but it's good to know that things are moving in this direction. And if he could just keep it under wraps for a while, then we might have a nice, easy rise for the next couple of weeks in the market. When I say in the market, I mean America, and I mean the world, really. And of course, is he trying to do all this to avoid Epstein stuff? Okay, maybe if Epstein starts coming back up, he's going to cause more pokey sticky with stuff. Saying, I don't like negotiations. Negotiations are just absolutely ridiculous. Let's go back to plan A, and just mess with them, right? Just to divert everyone's attention away from the fact that the DOJ cannot self-enforce releasing the Epstein files unredacted as they agreed. La, 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 la. Fun conspiracy all around. Okay, something a little more recent. 45 minutes ago, Trump's deal with NATO reportedly involves small pockets of land. Okay. Trump would give U.S. sovereignty over, would give U.S. sovereignty over specific areas for military bases. Arrangement mirrors UK Cyprus territory, according to senior officials. Full ownership of the table of Arctic negotiations begin. Isn't that great? I feel great. New York Times, the devil, be careful. Facts and facts. Okay, here we go. A Danish guy. I'm Danish. I strongly in favor of striking deal with Trump regarding Greenland. Today, the state of Greenland is a mess economically and sociologically. Here's the big lines of why a deal with the United States is a win-win. Okay, so from a Danish person, let's take a look. I got it. First off, it's important to understand just how massive Greenland is. That's an interesting little graphic. Look at that. So, yeah, it looks giant on the map. That's the actual size. It is quite big. Wow. That would take a day and a half or 2 full days to drive across if you had a straight freeway. Interesting. I love that map. It's so cool. That's so neat. Okay, so it's a big piece of land. Let's continue. It could fit Germany's size. So it's big. Greenland's GDP is around 30 billion. Greenland is heavily dependent on Denmark and receives a yearly subsidiary of 600 million. So they can't even pay for themselves, I guess. Denmark also provides infrastructure support and is responsible for Greenland's... God, man, they're going to really dig deep into this stuff. Defense. Great. Thank you for that. Show more. Greenland has around 55,000 inhabitants, a total workforce of around 27,000. The unemployment rate is 3.7. Okay. The backbone of Greenland's economy is fishing, shrimp, halibut. Okay. Unfortunately, the islands faces several social issues. Highest rates of suicide in the world. No way. I thought that was Iceland. High murder rate and issues with domestic violence. Okay. There's all these problems and all these facts. So why? Mr. Denmark, please tell me. However, exploring such partnerships is not only up to Greenland. For 200 years, Denmark held full control of the island. It was not until 2009 Greenland gained self-rule, taking over most domestic affairs. Today, an independence movement in Greenland is challenging Denmark's claim to the territory. Okay, interesting. So there is an independence movement anyway. The former Arctic colony Denmark colonization of Greenland began in the 18th century. In 1953, it became a constituency of the Danish kingdom. It was granted home rule in 1979. And and self-government in 2009. Denmark still retains control. So basically Denmark is kind of slowly losing its vast, more vast, significant grip. In fact, they might be pushing for it. However, we saw in that demonstration from before that it seemed like many of the people in Greenland did not support America intervention, taking over, whatever it might be. So this is kind of interesting. Let's continue regardless. So it's Denmark starting to lose the ability to support Greenland. Meanwhile, Trump is not playing games. Trump already displayed interest acquiring Greenland in 2019. And, to be fair, there has been a lot of interest in acquiring it throughout history. I can get into that another time, I guess. At that time, his efforts quickly faded due to corona pandemic. However, this time around, his aggression on the topic cannot be mistaken. Allegedly, the House Republicans are already drafting legislation to provide green. Okay, so this is from January 15th. So this is not in hindsight. This is from before this New Deal got struck. So not everyone in the world, or at least in Denmark, is going, fuck this. Why Trump's interest in Greenland? Okay, so everything we talked about in the previous video of why Trump is interested in Greenland, minerals, rare earths, geopolitical. So, okay, this is interesting. What did he think the arrangement and price tag would be if said agreement were to happen? He said 50 billion would do the job. Good baseline for down payment. Hefty rent, military bases, loyal mineral exploitations must also be included. So that would increase the 50 billion. I am assuming is what he's saying. This takes wins dominance key territory to relieve the big economic burden from the money. Greenland will benefit from massive investments for a better future. Okay, so let's kind of end it there. What are we looking at here? We're looking at outrage in the beginning of the idea that Trump is going to possibly invade. We got to have it. I don't care what they say. They're not going to like it, but we're going to take it. This kind of feeling and or rhetoric actually coming out of his mouth. And then we have people who are actually saying this might not be such a horrible thing. We need the money in Denmark. They need the money in Greenland. Greenland's kind of like going, anyway, Denmark, I think we're doing fine. And yet we still pay Greenland, $600 million every year. U.S. is happy. Everyone's happy. What's the big deal? And again, I think it's just coming head to head with sentiment, nostalgia, status quo versus what works versus vanity. We had in the last video, the part 1 of this series, where the guy who drafted, I believe, the treaty in the 50s, for Greenland to allow America to do XYZ. He's saying the only reason he's doing this is not because China and Russia are threatening to invade, but for Trump's vanity. So Trump's vanity, is that still something we need to think about here? Perhaps. There was one other point that I missed on the first video that can't be ignored. And it is that supposedly Denmark promised to invest money in Greenland itself to strengthen security and all these things. They said they would do it. I guess it was in the billions or something like this. Unfortunately, I'm not going to fact check this right now. But then kind of nothing happened. So when J.D. Vance is talking about, what are they doing? Why aren't they doing it? And then the delegates' argument was that America was there and then America left. We left on our own accord. And if we want so much security, why did America leave? You could wrap it up there. But the whole idea is going back to Trump complaining about Europe in the first place long ago, that America is doing quite a bit to help with NATO, to help with Ukraine and Europe. Why isn't Europe helping with the cost? So this comes back to that. If we're to secure Greenland and we're going to pay the bill, why do we have to jump through hoops of getting permission and whatnot? I'm not saying that's my stance. I'm saying that is the argument that can't be ignored and just something that's happening in the higher up chess games of geopolitical, economical, deep state, whatever you want to call it, globalism. That's what we got on the table. It looks like we're going to have a mildly or more than mildly nice breath of fresh air and a relief for the next couple of weeks, maybe, unless Trump wants to shake his stick again and start stirring it up. But I would say I feel positive and the market's looking good. This is Jordan O'Leary. Thank you very much for joining me on this. If anything else happens, I'll make a part 3. And in the meantime, I like your moves. Ooh. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Jordan.